English Podcast Hub. Hey everyone! Welcome back to English Podcast Hub. I'm Mia, and I'm here with Mark. So Mark, something really interesting happened to me last night that I have to share with you.
Oh, I love when episodes start like this. What happened?
I came home completely exhausted after work. My brain felt like it had been running a marathon all day. I was about to collapse on the couch and scroll through my phone for hours. You know, the usual zone out routine.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling way too well. Sometimes your brain just feels completely fried.
Exactly. But instead of grabbing my phone, I picked up this novel I'd been meaning to read. And after about 30 minutes, I felt more refreshed than I had in days. It was like my brain had been recharged, but in a completely different way than sleeping or watching TV.
That's really interesting because reading actually requires focus and attention, right? It doesn't sound like rest at all, but you're saying it made you feel better?
That's exactly what happened. And it got me thinking about what reading actually does to our brains. That's what we're talking about today: the science behind reading and why it might be the best form of active rest for your brain.
I love this topic because I've always been a reader, but I never thought about it scientifically. So, what exactly is active rest? That phrase seems like a contradiction.
Great question. Active rest is when you're doing something that requires mental engagement, but it's restorative rather than draining. It's different from passive rest, like sleeping, and it's also different from stressful mental work, like solving problems at your job.
So, your brain is working, but in a way that actually helps it recover. How does reading fit into that?
When you read, especially fiction, your brain is incredibly active. You're processing language, visualizing scenes, understanding characters, predicting what happens next, and emotionally connecting with the story. But here's the key: you're engaged voluntarily with something enjoyable, and there's no pressure or stress attached. That makes sense. When I'm reading a mystery novel, my brain is working hard to figure out who the villain is, but it feels completely different from working on a difficult project. There's excitement instead of anxiety. Exactly. And research shows that this kind of engaged but stress-free mental activity is incredibly beneficial. Scientists have found that reading activates multiple areas of the brain simultaneously in ways that few other activities do.
Multiple areas? Can you break that down for us?
Sure. First, there's the visual cortex processing the words. Then language processing areas handle meaning. But when you're reading fiction, the parts handling empathy and social cognition light up because you're understanding characters' emotions. The motor cortex can even activate when you read about physical actions.
Wait, so if I'm reading about someone running, my motor cortex reacts as if I'm actually running?
In a way, yes. Your brain creates a mental simulation of what you're reading about. And this is where active rest becomes really interesting.
How does this simulation help your brain rest?
Think about your daily activities. If you work in an office, you're dealing with emails, deadlines, and interpersonal stress. Your brain is constantly in problem-solving mode. The same neural pathways get used over and over, which is exhausting.
Right, it's like working the same muscle group at the gym without giving it a break.
Perfect analogy. When you read fiction, you're activating different neural networks. You're giving those overworked problem-solving areas a break while engaging other parts that might not get much use during your workday. It's like cross-training for your brain.
So reading isn't just distracting you from work stress, it's actually exercising different brain parts while letting the tired parts recover.
And there's another beautiful aspect. Studies show that reading, particularly fiction, significantly increases activity in the brain's default mode network. This is the network that's active when you're daydreaming or thinking about yourself and others.
That's important for creativity and self-reflection, right?
Exactly. The default mode network is crucial for processing emotions, understanding social dynamics, and making sense of your experiences. In our busy modern lives, we often don't give this network enough time because we're constantly focused on external tasks.
So we're always in task-oriented mode and never give our brains a chance to process internally. That sounds unhealthy.
It can be, and reading becomes such a powerful tool here. When you're absorbed in a good book, you're focused on the story. But because it's imaginative and not stressful, your default mode network becomes active. You're processing the story while also unconsciously processing your own life.
That's probably why sometimes when I'm reading, I'll suddenly have an insight about something completely unrelated to the book.
Yes, your brain is making connections between the story and your own experiences. This is why therapists often recommend reading fiction. It helps people understand emotions and social situations in a safe, indirect way.
So you're exploring complex human situations without the risk or stress of actually being in them yourself.
Precisely. And speaking of stress, let's talk about how reading affects stress levels. There was a study at the University of Sussex that found reading can reduce stress levels by up to 68%.
68%? That's huge. How long did people have to read?
Just 6 minutes. 6 minutes of reading was enough to slow heart rate and ease muscle tension. It was more effective than listening to music, walking, or having tea.
6 minutes? That's less time than making tea. So anyone who says they don't have time to read doesn't have an excuse.
Right. And it didn't matter what people read. As long as they were engaged, the stress reducing effects were there. Though the most powerful effects come from reading fiction, particularly literary fiction.
Why fiction specifically?
Fiction requires you to infer characters' thoughts, understand complex social dynamics, and consider multiple perspectives. This exercise is what psychologists call your theory of mind, your ability to understand that other people have different thoughts and desires.
And that's important in real life. Understanding others' perspectives makes you better at relationships and collaboration.
Absolutely. Studies show people who regularly read literary fiction score higher on empathy and social cognition tests. It's like going to the gym for your social intelligence.
So, by reading about fictional characters, we're training ourselves to understand real people better. That's beautiful.
It really is. And here's another benefit: reading before bed. Many people struggle with sleep because their minds are racing. Reading can transition you from that stress state to a calmer state for sleep.
I've started doing this. Instead of scrolling my phone before bed, I read for 20 minutes. I fall asleep faster and sleep better.
The phone comparison is important. When you're on social media, you get constant dopamine hits. Your brain jumps from topic to topic, and you're exposed to blue light that interferes with melatonin.
Not to mention, you're reading things designed to provoke outrage, fear, or envy. It's the opposite of restful.
Exactly. Reading a book is the opposite experience. You're following one narrative, absorbed in a single world with no notifications or blue light. If you choose well, the emotional experience is contained within the story.
So it's preparing your brain for rest rather than amping it up. Does it matter if you read physical books versus e-readers?
For stress reduction benefits, what matters most is that you're engaged and enjoying it. E-readers without blue light can be just as effective as physical books.
What about tablets or phones?
Less ideal before bed because of blue light. But with filters and notifications off, they can work. Though some research suggests physical books might have a slight edge for comprehension and retention.
Why would that be?
It's related to spatial memory. With a physical book, you have a sense of where you are. You can see how much you've read by the page thickness. This physical spatial information helps anchor content in your memory.
I do sometimes remember where something was on a page, but the most important thing is reading at all, right?
Absolutely. Don't let format stop you. The brain benefits are there regardless.
We've talked about stress reduction, empathy, using different brain parts, better sleep. Are there other benefits?
One particularly relevant as we age. Regular reading is associated with better cognitive health and may help prevent or delay dementia. People who read throughout their lives have better cognitive function in old age.
So it's not just good for resting your brain now, it's an investment in future brain health.
Exactly. Like physical exercise builds cardiovascular health long-term, reading builds cognitive reserve, which is like a buffer against age-related decline.
That's motivating. But some people struggle to find time or focus. Any suggestions?
Start small. Remember, 6 minutes can reduce stress. Even 10 minutes a day makes a difference. Read during lunch, before bed, or while commuting on public transportation.
What about people who say they can't focus?
That's common, especially if you're used to social media's quick dopamine hits. Your brain needs to readjust. Start with really engaging books, thrillers or mysteries that pull you forward, or topics you're passionate about.
Choose books that are impossible to put down rather than books you think you should read.
Exactly. There's no shame in entertaining fiction. The brain benefits are there regardless. You can work up to challenging books once you've rebuilt your reading habit.
What about audiobooks? Some people say they aren't real reading.
I'm glad you asked because the snobbery isn't supported by research. Studies show audiobooks activate many of the same brain regions as reading text. You're still processing language, visualizing scenes, following narrative, understanding characters.
So the active rest benefits are similar.
Very similar. Audiobooks are slightly different since you're not using visual processing, but for stress reduction, empathy building, and mental engagement, they absolutely work.
That's great for people with visual impairments or busy lives who can listen while commuting or doing chores.
Absolutely. Find what works for you. If audiobooks mean you'll actually consume books when you otherwise wouldn't, they're perfect.
How does reading compare to other active rest like meditation or yoga?
They're complementary rather than competitive. Meditation is wonderful for training attention and calming the mind. Reading is about engaging imagination and exploring ideas through stories. Ideally, you do both.
What about hobbies like painting or music?
Those are excellent active rest too. The advantage of reading is accessibility. No special equipment or skills needed. You can do it anywhere, easy to start and stop.
True, I can't pull out a piano on my lunch break, but I can pull out a book.
Exactly. But if you find painting more enjoyable, do that. The principle is engaging your brain in absorbing but not stressful ways.
Before we wrap up, what would you say to someone who hasn't read a book in years and doesn't know where to start?
First, no judgment. We all go through phases. Second, starting is easier than you think. Look for books about topics you're already interested in. Love cooking? Get a cookbook with stories. Enjoy crime shows? Read mystery novels.
Match your reading to existing interests rather than forcing yourself to read what you think you should.
Exactly. And if you're not enjoying a book after 30 pages, it's okay to stop and try another. Life's too short to read books you don't enjoy when you're building a habit.
That's liberating. I think many people feel guilty about not finishing books.
I used to. But now I see unfinished books as market research. They taught me what I don't like. Remember, the goal is making reading a source of rest and pleasure, not another obligation.
Perfect. So to summarize, reading, especially fiction, is powerful active rest because it engages your brain in absorbing but non-stressful ways, exercises different neural pathways, reduces stress, improves empathy, helps with sleep, and contributes to long-term cognitive health.
Beautifully said, and it only takes a few minutes a day. Whether you read physical books, ebooks, or listen to audiobooks, your brain gets a workout and rest simultaneously.
It's remarkable. Something humans have done for thousands of years is one of the best things for mental health and cognitive function.
And in our modern world of constant information, reading offers a rare opportunity to slow down, focus on one thing, and let our imaginations work.
This conversation has made me excited to pick up my book after work today, a mystery novel set in Japan.
That sounds wonderful. I'm reading short stories, which is perfect for 15 minutes before bed. Each story is complete, so there's accomplishment even in a short session.
Great tip. Short stories are underrated for busy people. Well, I think we've covered a lot today. Any final thoughts, Mia?
Just this, reading isn't a luxury or indulgence, it's self-care and mental health maintenance. In a world demanding constant productivity, reading offers a way to be mentally active while truly resting. Your brain will thank you.
Beautifully said. Thanks so much for listening to Easy English Conversation. Until next time, happy reading, everyone.
Happy reading. Take care of those brains.